Censored. Hey everyone, this is Chris, and welcome back to another entry in the Sketch Journal. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what my next step is on this channel, and really, more importantly, on my art journey. We're working on figure drawing. We're actually going to be working on a couple of things, but first thing is a figure drawing. Now that I've gone through my 30 days of drawing faces, I want to work on drawing the whole body, and get a little bit more used to drawing that and getting proportions right, etc., etc. So we're going to work on figure drawing here. Now this is a book I picked up by Andrew Loomis. It's called Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, for those of you who can't read, which is probably not a lot of you. So anyway, but yeah, this is a book on figure drawing, and what's nice about this book is it goes into a lot of detail. It talks about perspective, and it talks about different proportions, and basically how many heads the human body is, so on and so forth. And then it gets into a little bit more in depth, talking about muscle masses, etc., etc. So this is a great book. It's got this little piece of paper over here because it is there is a nude female behind here, and for those of you who don't like to look at the nude body, unfortunately this book has a lot of it, so I wouldn't recommend it for you guys. But that being said, if you're going to learn to draw figures, if you're going to learn to draw people, you need to practice with drawing the nude figure first, because clothing, all it does is it's just cloth, it's just material that sits on top of the body. So you need to learn how the body, how the muscles, fit around the form, where the bones stick out. Because when you add the clothing on top of that, the clothing is just going to rest, and it's going to contour to the form of the human. So learning how to draw the nude figure is very important. And if you're new to drawing, if you're anything like me, it's kind of awkward sitting there drawing nude people for a little while. But you do get used to it, to the point where, like, when I do gesture drawings, whether it's nude or not nude, it's actually a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be going through this book. I picked this book up earlier this year, and I went through and read the book cover to cover. I do that anytime I get a new book where I'm going to be learning something. I read it cover to cover first, just to get the lay of the land, just to see what I'm getting myself into and how everything is set up. And then I go back to the beginning and I start trudging through it and working on the exercises. So this is going to be my primary resource for figure drawing, but I'm also going to be doing some, just looking up pictures and photos online and doing gesture drawing as well. Because gesture is very important if you're going to learn to draw the figure and not have it look stiff. Get the gesture in there first, and then you can add onto it and start filling in the details, and then you have a finished piece and it looks a little bit more relaxed. It looks a lot more natural than if you're just to draw the wireframe and then go from there. So we're going to talk a little bit today about gesture and the wireframe, and we're going to build upon this in future episodes here. But first of all, what is gesture? Gesture drawing is basically taking the pose and really just trying to find the motion of the pose. So let's say we're looking at this right here, and I know it's kind of hard to see because it's in I think I just flashed the camera there. I've got part of this blocked off here, but you can kind of see the gesture of her. And let me get my thicker pen out here just so I can kind of etch this in. I mean, she's leaning back, her head's tilted forward, but then her back kind of comes like this, and it's kind of like a that's very exaggerated, but it's kind of like just an S curve there, and that's kind of what her body is doing, and then it comes back around. So if we're going to draw this, and this isn't going to show up on camera too well, unfortunately, but if I'm going to draw a gesture, this is just a quick gesture. We just do a little circle for the head, and head's tilted forward, and we just get that S curve in there, just like that. And then we come back around for the legs and find her hips go angled downward, as you can see, and then her shoulders are actually angled the opposite direction. And a lot of times what you'll find in these gestures is the shoulders are angled slightly different than the hips. And then of course you've got the arms that come out here and an arm that comes up there. And I mean, that's just a quick gesture. It's probably not the best gesture you'll ever see, to be honest with you, but it's not bad. Now I'm going to take out my darker pen here, and we're going to talk a little bit about building upon this. And I can do a whole video on gestures, and I will in the future, but this is kind of just like a, what I'm currently working on type video. If I wanted to build upon this, let's say I wanted to put in her a little bit more detail and just get the wire frame or the construction frame. Just like if you're building a house or if you're building a car or really building anything, you want to get the frame down first. You can't just start throwing up walls and brick and calling the house done. You build the frame first. You build the wood frame. You take the pieces, you put the pieces together, then you start building upon that frame. And then once you got the whole house done, then you start adding in the details. And it's the same thing with drawing a human. So we're going to put in the frame, and I actually like to start with I don't quite use the same method that he does in this book, but this method works for me, and there's really no right and wrong way to do this. You just put in the frame. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get a little circle here to get the frame, and then she's angled. It's kind of hard to see here, but she's not facing directly towards the camera. She's kind of angled slightly off to the right a little bit. So you get this kind of, skeletal frame here. You've got the whole, this is her rib cage, and then it comes back down. And as you can see, the portions of my gesture are definitely not going to match the proportions of my wire frame, but that's okay. The gesture is mainly there just to get the looseness in the sketch here. So I'm going to do a nice little something like this to capture the pelvis. And then what I like to do with the feet is I like to actually do little circles to kind of figure out where the hips are, the hip joints are. And then the legs actually come out here. Little circle from the knee, and then it just comes straight back just like that. And then of course we got the feet here, and then we can do the same thing. And then her other foot it's kind of hidden behind here, but we're just gonna do that. And then same thing with the arms, because the shoulders are kind of broad. I do not like to do nice large circles for the shoulders, and then I of course bring the arm out, circle for the elbow, and have the arm come back in here just like this. And the same thing here with the other arm. Come back up, making sure to follow that gesture line as close as possible, and that gets hidden behind the head here. So we're going to do the head, of course, and that's basically the construction lines for my drawing. Now, of course, this arm's a little bit too loose. This line should be a little bit more straight. So from here, we can start adding a little bit more and more onto it, and we can start bulking up and adding a little bit more of the shoulder here. Get those muscle groups in. Come back around for the elbow, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through and fill in the whole area. In fact, there's a lot I still need to practice on, obviously, because her arm looks, especially her forearm, looks horrible right now. But you get the gist idea. Start off with a simple gesture of a pose, and then you can build upon that gesture with your mannequin frame, your construction frame, and then you can add more and more details onto it. So like I said, in future videos, I will, break down each step, starting with the gestures and talk a little bit more about gestures in depth. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the mannequin frame in depth, as I get better at doing this. Um, and then maybe eventually, I'll start breaking down, adding more bulk into the body and, really fleshing out what the body looks like. So, um, this isn't the only way to do drawing figures. This isn't the only way to do gestures or the wireframe. Like I said before, there's many different ways to do things. As long as they give you the results that you need, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So, and yeah. So next video, I might do a little bit more gesture drawing. But if you like what you see here, if you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe. Please comment. Let me know what you'd like to see. If you want to see a little bit more tutorials, a little bit more me doing challenges, or just want to see like the day-to-day type vlog style, where I do weekly updates or whatever of my progress. So I'd like to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.